Morning, Trainiacs. On Running is the fastest growing running shoe company in the world, and today we are going to talk about their newest running shoe, the On Running CloudAce. So in the photos and the video from Half Ironman Coeur d'Alene, a lot of people noticed that I was running in the On Running Cloudflow. And someone commented, does it seem like everyone is running in Ons these days? Specifically, I say yes, and a lot of people are running in the On Running Cloudflow. Javier Gomez, Tim Don, Triathlon Taren. We are all adopting this delightful little shoe that is specifically made for running barefoot in a race. Now, I can't speak for Javier Gomez and Tim Don. I would have to assume that they are getting paid. This video is not paid at all. On just reached out to me, and one of the people at On is actually a Trainiac that is doing their own triathlons, and said, we really like your stuff. Can we just send you out some shoes? And I was like, well, as a matter of fact, over the last couple of years, I've done a couple of reviews on the On shoes, specifically the On Cloud, which was my favorite running shoe of 2017. It was just a really nice meat and potatoes kind of shoe. Since that time, they've updated the Cloud model, come out with more models, and recently, that's the On Running CloudAce. So let's talk about how these all sort out here. Now for starters, this new On Running CloudAce is not like any of the other On Runners that you may have tried in the past. The On Running Cloudflow is a racing shoe. The new On Running CloudX has developed into a bit of a racing shoe, but also more of a casual shoe, a bit of a crossover. This On Running CloudAce is much more in line with like the Asics Gel Kayano, like that really built up, beefy stabilization shoe, whereas this shoe and this shoe are known for being light, for being responsive, for being very flexible, whereas this is all about having a really stable platform. The Cloudflow can be compared to something like a Saucony Kinvara or say a Newton Distance, one of those light but slightly cushioned kind of shoes, not quite to the end of the spectrum of being a racing flat, but still really nice for racing because it's nice and responsive, very springy, while still having a decent amount of flexibility and cushioning. The On Running CloudX, more of a casual runner, it'd be, I don't know, something kind of like the New Balance Fresh Foam Zante. What do I have? The New Balance Vazi, little bit more cushioning. And what they've done with this runner that is now on all their 2018 models is, you see how this had the strip right down the middle that was completely vertical? This is cut out into a V shape, and all of these shoes are cut into that V shape. And the idea with that is that it's going to make sure that rocks don't get into all these pods, which was my biggest complaint with that shoe. Now let me give you the specs, and you are going to see very quickly how the CloudAce is completely different from these two other better known shoes. The CloudX, 8 ounces, $140. The Cloudflow, 8.1 ounces, $140. Both of these have a 6mm heel drop. The CloudAce, 11.8 ounces, $200. That's a lot of dough. But that $200, that is a lot of money. For these to be a good value, that means you gotta get somewhere around 400 to 500 miles out of this shoe. Or it needs to be a shoe that you really like, in which case value doesn't really matter. So let's talk about the features of this new shoe. Number one, much more stiff. Way stiffer than these shoes that you might know a little bit better. The CloudAce is designed for stability over all else. People that overpronate, people that like a lot of structure to their shoe, people that don't want to have to work on their own nearly as much, have this plastic line going under, in between the cushioning sole and the outsole that is kind of like that plate that's in a Nike 4% or the Zoom Fly, that you get that real power transfer because it's like a spring that you spring off and it pushes you forward. Also, this is the first On Running shoe to incorporate both the zero gravity pods in the back here for a lot of cushioning with the rebound rubber clouds on the front that have like that notch in the middle, so you get a really nice stiff toe off, which is all throughout this shoe. This plastic line is called the Speed Board, and apparently with the small amount of reviews that I've seen online so far, does what it's supposed to do. Apparently these are a lot faster than you'd expect for a damn near 12-ounce shoe. Now, I've never been one to place a really big importance on a heel cup. It's kind of like an afterthought. Basically, a heel cup is good if you don't notice it, but this On Running shoe is much more similar to the Cloudflow, which has the heel cup that comes up, as opposed to the CloudX, which has the heel cup that goes basically straight across. In my opinion, not a fan. If you zoom in really close to these, you'll see a fair bit of blood on this because I chafed from that really big heel cup in Coeur d'Alene, and I imagine just from walking around on this morning that it would be about the same until it loosens up. I found that happened a little bit with last year's model, but after maybe about 30 miles, it was totally gone. I ran in these barefoot in Austin. And then another difference is that this also isn't very breathable. These, very breathable. Didn't have sweaty feet or problems with moisture building up in these during Half Ironman Coeur d'Alene. These are quite a bit more closed in. This is a solid panel of like rubber or something like that all the way around, so it's not like you've got air circulating through. However, the inside does look like it has similar stitching. So I ran barefoot in these, and besides the heel cup, which I knew would kind of chafe me because they were so new and I didn't wear socks, I think that this could be okay to run it. So frankly, I can't review these. I've only gone around in them for a grand total of about 2 hours walking around this morning. It's rest week now. All I'm doing is swimming next week. But if you are interested in a review of this shoe that is a more built-up shoe, like that meat and potatoes heavy trainer that a lot of people like, getting away from that trend of more minimal shoes with just a slight amount of cushioning, lower mileage shoes, more crossover shoes. If you are interested in that, hit the like button or comment below and I'll do a review on these. And I'd actually be quite interested to do that because of all the reviews that I saw, there were comments that were along the lines of, didn't think I would like this shoe, but it's actually one of the most comfortable shoes that I've ever tried. On themselves, we're super excited about this. If you've been around and followed running over the last little while, you've seen this all over the place. They're holding demos, they're holding 30-day free trial offers on their shoes right now. On is pushing really hard, and just like this was one of my favorite shoes of 2017, these are some of my favorite shoes right now. They ain't paying me to say this. They just say, hey, can we send out some shoes? I'm like, hey, On, I like your stuff. Cool. Deal. Let's do it. So Trainiacs, that is the On Running CloudAce versus the On Running Cloudflow versus the On Running CloudX. If you aren't yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button below. And if you are subscribed and you wear shoes, hit the like button. There should be a lot of likes on this video, okay? Thank you.